Hi everybody, this is part 7 in the character modeling tutorial series. Last video I mentioned it was part 5, but that was actually part 6. So this is part 7, and we'll discuss more refinement of the body before we move on to other smaller details. We'll also get into how to put some clothing lines to separate some of the body parts where you might have clothing on there as well. So one of the first refinements we're going to do is add some more edge loops to the fingers. So we can get a little bit more rounded form here, but these edge loops aren't going to go throughout the whole body. We're going to stop them where the hand is, so those loops don't go throughout the rest of the body. So what we're going to do is make sure symmetry is back on. I'm going to select this edge, and I'm going to come down here to the end of the finger and shift double click. That should select those edges within that selection there. I'm going to continue moving around and get to these edges on the bottom. So basically one finger, I have the edge loops for that finger all the way to the wrist. Okay. Let's do the same thing for all of the other fingers. There you go. And what I'm going to do is use connect. So the connect will create an edge loop in the middle that goes down each finger. All right, so if I do that, hit enter. All right, and we're actually going to scale everything vertically a little bit, so everything is a little bit more round. We may need to do a little more of that later, but overall that'll create some good edge loops there. Alright, so the last thing we need to do is correct our n-gons that have been created. So your n-gons here, and the same thing on the opposite side as well. So we're going to come with the multi-cut tool, and instead of putting these loops throughout the rest of the body, we have 4 edge loops we need to connect together. So we're just going to blend them in the middle of the wrist and the palm, or the hand and the palm. So that way they don't have to go all the way back, but we'll still link up to quads. So the outer 2 faces, I'm going to take this vertex that's right here and move it down the middle and then connect it to this point here. Okay, let's hit enter. And then I'm going to take this vertex, pull it down 1 edge loop, and then pull that to this vertex here. So that'll convert the n-gons into quads and triangles. And then the only thing I need to do here is to connect my 2 triangles. So let's take this edge on this triangle, connect it to this edge on this triangle, and that creates quads for those areas. Now they still look like triangles, so what you can actually do is kind of move them down, scale them in a little bit, and now we can see that we do have quads all the way around. That's an easy way to kind of correct this. Let's go back to the multi-cut. This time we're going to move this one forward 1 and then in 1 and hit enter. Okay, and then we can go forward 1 and then in 1 and hit enter. Okay, this is an area that doesn't deform much. This does create 1 triangle in the middle, but I can select that and delete that and then move this vertex back this way a little bit. And we can move that one back that way some. So that's an area that doesn't deform too much, but also still allows us to get some edge loops where we need them to be. So that's another easy way to kind of clean that up. Let's come down here, let's do the same thing down here. So multi-cut. We could do straight and then back to the inside here. Do the same thing here, straight and then to the inside. And then we'll go ahead and do this one. Well, no, can't do that one yet because I need to connect these 2 triangles. There you go. Then we'll take those 2 vertices, move them in, scale them back a little bit. And then now in vertex mode, we can go multi-cut, straight, and then to the middle. Straight into the middle. Okay, so we can get the edge, delete that edge right there, and then pull this back that way a little bit. So it's a good way to add some more edge loops on some areas without pulling them through the rest of the loops there. All right, so if I look at some areas of the arm, There's a lot of edge loops on the top and the bottom, not a lot on the sides. So what I can do is get that sculpting relax tool and try to even that out a little bit. Now when I do this, it will kind of push and pull some edge loops. So you do kind of have to be somewhat careful with this. But we do need to balance out some of those edges so that everything isn't so heavy on one side. It's pretty good there. Maybe I'll come and do a little bit of that balancing on the sides. There you go. That area will benefit from that. Blend that a little more. Kind of doing too much there. There you go. Let's look at the legs. Probably need to do a little bit of that legs as well, so the inside loops blend. There we go. Alright, so let's pull these in a little more. See how it's kind of blending it all, so it's a little smoother. Try to get the same thing with the calf area as well. We don't want too many loops on one area, but not throughout the rest of it. Maybe the top of the foot can benefit from that as well. There we go. Alright, so one of the final stages I do is to use that relax and some of the smoothing and sculpting tools to kind of correct that. Last thing we're doing in this video is talk about how to add some clothing line marks that we can use to define where clothing meets the body. I don't need to have a different piece of geometry for the pants if it doesn't ever need to come off or animate or be switched out with a different piece of clothing. So what I'm going to do is kind of take this loop, and I might come in here and move some of these edges up a little bit. So like the pants line of the torso isn't so low. Actually, I might just make another loop. Let's just do that here. So let's go Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop, and we'll add one more loop right there. That looks pretty good. Be a decent pants line. Or maybe the one above that will be pretty good. So we'll do that one. And what I'm going to do is we'll leave that one there. And instead of Insert Edge Loop, let's do Offset Edge Loop. So Offset Edge Loop takes an edge loop, and when I click and drag on it, it creates an edge loop to the in and out side of that loop there. So now we have kind of two more loops where those loops were. So one thing I can do is come in here with the edge loop tool, whoops, just the regular edges, and scale this in a little bit on all three axes, and then just move it down. And that will give an impression that there's some pants in that area. Kind of see what that does there. Now what might be good is if I come and take this top edge loop and bevel that a little bit, so we do have some depth to it. And even that inside edge loop where the skin would meet, we can bevel that as well. So I have a little bit more definition. Come in here and now really drag this down more. The vertical axis. Scale it out a little bit. Oh, that's probably too much scale. There we go. So now it looks like there is a pants line there, but there really isn't. There's really not a different form. So that's an easy way to create some definition of where some clothing might need to be. I have this edge right here that we need to soften. So soften edge there. There we go, that corrects that. And now we can do the same thing at the pants. So I can come down here where the pants would meet the shoes, maybe right here, and do Mesh Display, Offset Edge Loop. It's not really following on the other leg, but whatever, we'll go back and mirror the body over again later, that's fine. And we drag that out. There we go. I'll move it down. Okay, so this time maybe I'll take this loop and scale it out a little bit and move it up for this to be like, well, no, I actually want this to be down, opposite way. I want the pants leg to go over the shoe. So we'll do something like that. Scale it out a little more. Maybe it's a little bit of flailing out, not too much. We can flatten this out a little bit more, move it down. And then we can bevel these two loops. Bevel. There you go, that defines that a little more. So that's an easy way to start adding some more detail. Let's see if we can select just those two. Move that down to kind of round that off a little more. And we probably need to go in here with these edges horizontally and soften those, since that was an adjusted form there. There you go, that looks pretty good. So that's one way to kind of define some of those areas where we might need clothing but don't actually need extra pieces of geometry for it. Alright, so that'll wrap it up for this video. We added some more edge loops for the fingers. We softened and relaxed some faces. We also added a little bit of definition with some clothing to define some of those areas a little more. The next video we'll talk about how to model the face and how to add more small, finer detail to some of the muscles and some of the body elements.